Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Date today is the 20th of September, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of The Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, a.k.a. Motown Noah. Got a big show for you guys today. Usually I just say that as like an obligatory intro thing, but we actually do have a big show for you guys today because there was no show on Monday. We'll talk a little bit at the end about why there wasn't a show the other day, just because I don't want to destroy the vibes right up top. We'll just kind of circle back to it at the end, and if you're interested, use the timestamps to your advantage. But the theme with this program, anytime that we've missed an episode, the next time that there is one, I always try to make it up to you guys, right? Sometimes it's just like, oh, make sure the jokes are a little bit better and a little bit more refined, right? If you're going to do a bit, make sure it's actually planned, and so, give some people some goofs to do some nasal exhales at, or we'll do like a really extravagant segment that we commit to, and I go hard in the paint. Today we're going to be doing something, you saw it in the title, the Coping Tower, an NBA Pyramid of Dumb, is officially here. I had said about a month ago that before the season starts, I'm going to need somebody to hold me accountable, and to actually doing that, and it stemmed from a bunch of stuff that Jaylen Brown was saying at the time. We'll get to it later, don't worry. By the way, nobody held me accountable on that. Not one single not one single person was like, hey Nick, don't forget to do this. It just hasn't left my mind. It's been such a good bit idea in my head that I haven't stopped thinking about it, and it was hard to commit to it, and we will talk about that in a minute once we start actually unpacking it. But we got that going today. And then we got some other stuff on the margins. Now, this doesn't quite feel like it's on the margins before we get into the real meat and potatoes of this program. It is, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that ESPN's leading reporter, their leading insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, take that one back from the top. ESPN's leading insider, Adrian Wojnarowski, has officially retired and is instead going to be joining, instead of being the world's fastest, out of his holster, tweeting, getting his tweets off at 12:30 at night, being like, oh, the Grand Rapids Gold just hired a new third assistant. You're like, okay, go to bed, brother. He's not doing that anymore. He's going to go be the general manager of the St. Bonaventure's men's basketball team. Now, a lot of reactions out there have been, the hell? So GMs are a thing in college hoops now? Yeah, I guess they are, right? And what we're learning is that it's a really fluid position within these programs, where for some people it is about controlling personnel and kind of, making sure that the pieces are in the right place. Some of it is just like calling donors and like sort of being the middleman between, and some of it is literally just handling NIL stuff. And there's something really funny to me about the stress of being a general manager, even if it's for, a third or fourth rate college, St. Bonaventure, they've made the tournament. We'll call them third rate college basketball team. The stress of that is less than being the insider that he has been for the last, 2 decades. The last 7 of them have been with ESPN. We did get a lot of emails about this. That the genesis of a lot of the emails, the crux of them, was what's next for ESPN and their leading insider. Who is the next Woj? A lot of jokes getting sent up. Oh, wow. The day after P. Diddy, all of this news comes out. Woj just, that joke got run into the ground immediately. It was kind of funny the first time I saw it. It has just not been. Everybody's making the same joke. It's not funny. The real tea here is that as soon as the IDF and Mossad run this joint operation in Lebanon, where all of these Hezbollah terrorists, these pagers start exploding, the pagers exploding is what got Woj out of the business. That's the angle that we need to be taking here. But okay, so who's the next Woj? That's what the kids are asking these days. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? People are talking. I don't think there is gonna be one, at least not to his level out the gate, unless you're just saying it's gonna be Shams, who I'm pretty sure is a free agent right now. We'll see what happens with him. What the fuck is Stadium? What is that? It's like, yeah, he works for The Athletic, which is a subsidiary of the New York Times at this point. So he's technically employed by both of them, which is why sometimes Shams will be like, Donald Trump has coronavirus. Or he'll tweet like, Joe Biden has dropped out of the presidential race and he's not going to be the president anymore. We falsely attributed that report originally to Shams before we realized that Joe actually just tweeted about it, and then Shams just fired off his own tweet about it. The point being that he has like political sources too, right? So he's still a dude. The point that I'm getting at here is nobody is going to be as well connected as Woj. And so I've seen, some people have been like, ooh, is it going to be Kevin O'Connor? He just went to Yahoo. Is that going to be a thing? KOC knows people, but again, he doesn't know people like that to this degree. Maybe the last time I would have seen him was 2.5 years ago. I haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he's gotten a lot of connections since then. Maybe it's like all of Elon's boys. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe it could be Elon Musk. One of you guys in your emails pointed out, I don't think we'll really know until the trade deadline. Maybe. I think that it's for the best if this era of, I'm going to call it journalism just because I don't know what else. Firstism. Is that what it is? It's not journalism. It's like firstism. Whoever gets the scoop first, and it doesn't really matter if you're right. It's just about like when Shams fucked up the details of the Dame trade, and he said that he was, I don't remember what he messed up about. I think he said someone was going to Toronto, and that didn't, I don't remember what it was, but he messed it up because he was just trying to be first, right? And then the other thing with Shams was, and this isn't really about firstism, but do you guys remember, was it last year's draft? When Brandon Miller was like gonna go number 2. But Shams kept pumping that it was maybe going to be Scoot Henderson because it was something with a partnership that he had with FanDuel, or that the Athletic had with FanDuel, and he was pumping the odds so that people would bet that that Scoot was going to go number 2. And then we later found out that actually wasn't true at all, and that's the Hornets never even considered Scoot Henderson going at 2. And you're like, that's illegal, right? It's not market manipulation, but that's like, what's the word for that? What can I get? I know there's a lawyer out there somewhere who listens to the show. What is that called? Again, it's something manipulation, right? I think it would be for the best if this just dies. If whatever this is just dies. Now, it won't for a while because Shams is like my age. It's like maybe a little bit older. He's like still just a guy. This is just what he does, and it's just what he's done since he was like 15 years old. Like, this is his whole deal. What I'm excited for now that Woj is gone is hopefully the next man up, in the batters, it's not batter's deck. Man, I'm out of sorts today, I guess. Up on deck, whoever it is, can we stop spoiling the draft? Maybe that. Because a few years ago, what people would tell you if you were annoyed about Woj spoiling the draft is, you don't have to be on the internet. You don't have to follow Woj while the draft is on. I guess that to me is just like when Tyler, the Creator, was like, how is cyberbullying real? Like, just close your eyes. But it's not even that anymore, because we detailed this on this program immediately after the NBA draft this year. Once it bleeds into the broadcast, I cannot look at the internet all I want during the draft. The Pistons are making the 5th pick in the draft this last June. And Malika Andrews, 45 seconds before we go up to the podium, is like, and we're hearing reports from our Adrian Wojnarowski that the Pistons are looking at drafting Ron Holland. What the hell? What? Malika, why did you just say that? That earthquake, I don't want to make a joke about the earthquake saying that she should have gotten killed. She should not have gotten killed, but I was mad at her because what the fuck? And then she's like, they start like bullshitting at the panel they start stalling while they're waiting for Adam to get up there. And she doubles down right before they send it back. And she's like, and we're pretty sure that this is going to be Ron Holland, courtesy of Woj. She didn't do that for the rest of the night. I'm hoping a producer got in her ear and like maybe they had my phone bugged or something. And they're like, hey, this kid in Chicago is really pissed about this. Please don't. And if we had to take the bullet so that your favorite team's pick didn't get spoiled, I guess, right? I'll be the martyr if I have to. Hopefully that is gone. But the Woj era of breaking news as an NBA fan, it was like, it's an unprecedented form of excitement that we would receive, now it's June 30th, the moratorium, or rather that free agency opens at like 6 p.m., but for all intents and purposes, right? Remember when it was as soon as midnight would hit on July 1st and Woj would just dump his drafts, and it would be like, and Sham still does this, but it would be like 6-7 tweets immediately, all at 12 o'clock. He had them all ready to go. And the excitement that we felt from that was unparalleled. And it sort of added this other element to what it meant to be an NBA fan. It was really, really exciting. So if we think about it, like what was, he was only at ESPN for 7 years. Before that, was he at Yahoo? Was that where he was before that? The most memorable Woj bomb for me, I don't remember if he broke the KD thing, because I know he eventually did the Players Tribune thing, my next chapter, yada, yada, yada. But was Woj the one that originally, if he did, then that. But if it wasn't that, another Kevin Durant trade, when it was local time for me, midnight, but Eastern time, 1 o'clock in the morning. a year and a half ago, that Woj drops the Kevin Durant bomb. That Brooklyn is trading Kevin Durant to Phoenix. It's midnight. I'm sitting here like soft screaming into my pillow, going like nuts in Discord, like texting all my buddies, like, whoa, Kevin Durant is a Phoenix, son. What? I woke my girlfriend up and she was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like, Kevin Durant just got traded to Phoenix. She was so shocked. She's like, fair play. That's fine. Okay, get your shit off, King. This is pretty wild. There was just nothing like it. And I don't want to say I'm happy to see him go, because I'm not. It is a real end of an era. And especially good for him. Like, he's going out rich as fuck and is like the king of his medium. And now he just like gets to go to his alma mater and like be there. Like, this is awesome for him. Go right off into the sunset, dude. You have earned it more than anybody else, no matter how any of us feel about him. Nick, are you going to say anything about his last Woj bomb being an Isaac Okoro extension? Have fun with that, Cavs fans. That's fun. I would feel as excited as you probably do if it was my team, as any of the other 28 teams would feel if it wasn't my team or the Cavs. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that is exciting for you. I don't care about that very much, though. So shout out to Woj. You will be mostly missed, but I'm excited to see what the, again, not journalism, the first-ism landscape looks like moving forward. So, okay, folks, here we go. Now, before we get to the coping tower, an NBA pyramid of dumb, there is some setup that we have to do. I would really appreciate it if you just stayed with me on this, because I do think that all of this is important. So I've been sitting on this idea again for like a month now. And when I finally I was like, how do I make it up to them for missing the show on Monday? I said, boom, we're going to do the pyramid of dumb. There we go. So I've been working on this all week, like diligently. I've been going roster by roster, looking at every name, being like, have they done something dumb? Have they done something dumb? I'm going through the GMs. Have they done something? I'm going through the owners, the coaches. Dog, I'm everywhere. I'm in the fucking walls, okay? But eventually I'm just like, I don't feel confident in this list. So what I did was I texted the shoot-around group chat, which is myself, Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, producer extraordinaire Rudy St. Clair, and Alex Hoops. I texted them, hey, fellas, needed to consult the brain trust on this one, giving them their props, giving them some respect and the credit that they deserve, because those are three minds that I respect their basketball opinions. Or so I thought. I thought they were my friends, to be honest with you. I don't mean to like go mask off here, because I'm not mad. I'm not mad about this at all. And I sent them my first rough draft of what the pyramid was going to look like. I didn't fucking hear from two of them. Rudy gave me one text, tried to be helpful, was kind of helpful, was like halfway helpful. Rudy, I appreciate that you at least showed the courtesy of giving me a response at all, right? And then when I responded to his text, he gave me like a little thumbs up reaction. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'll just wait for Alex and Jacob to fucking help me out. It was crickets from them. It was radio silence from them. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, aren't these the same motherfuckers who are like, no, man, like, I would be so cool if you tried again. Like, oh man, if you like went out, like you really committed to it, like, man, you got the talent for this. You just really need to go for it. And I'm always like, nah. Even a week ago, I was like, I've been trying to toy with how to make my thumbnails worse and like even less user friendly to click on. You know what I mean? Like, how do I do that? But then I asked a favor. I asked them to do one thing. I said, give me a dumb guy. Who's dumb in the NBA? Who am I forgetting? There's somebody that I'm forgetting that's not on this list. Let me motherfucking tell you something. If I texted Rudy and I was like, hey, Rudy, I'm having a conversation with somebody about the Knicks. How do I make this about the Grizzlies? How do I shoehorn Desmond Bane into this? He would have sent me a fucking double-spaced, MLA formatted essay, 1,500 words, on how to fucking throw and completely derail a segment to talk about the Grizzlies. If I said, hey, Alex Hoops, what was Danny Green's percentage off of the catch from 27 feet in 2011? The motherfucker within 30 seconds would have the Basketball Reference graphic or his fucking stat muse or something immediately. If I said, hey, Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, can you give me the spiel on why Kevin Durant is the most overrated player in the NBA right now? The motherfucker would send me 8 links to his videos that he's made in the last like 3 weeks. All right? But the second that Nick needs help, they're nowhere to be found. The Motown Noah signal is up in the air. Jacob's going to be, I was sick. I didn't feel good. Cool. Alex is going to be like, oh, I was with my wife. Oh, I was spending quality time with my wife. We were eating chicken and I was training for a marathon. Cool. I'm not mad, by the way. This is not me being mad. Rudy, again, at least tried. So, okay, let's zoom out a little bit. Who else did I text? Motherfuckers. That's who I texted. I texted around. I texted like 6 or 7 people about this. Besides the group chat, which, again, I'm not mad about that at all. I'm not going to be on the show next week for the shoot around. We'll talk about that again at the end of the episode. Going back to Michigan. Again, we'll talk about it. So I won't get to see them or talk to any of them for 2 weeks. We'll see if I'm still mad about... I'm not mad about this, but we'll see if I'm still holding a grudge, which I don't do. I do not hold grudges, by the way. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Because if I'm still feeling some type of way about this, it's going to be a bad show. I'm going to make sure that is the most unwatchable piece of content that Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, has ever produced on his fucking channel. You ask your friends for one favor, and they're nowhere to be found. I'm not mad at you guys, by the way. I'm not mad at you guys. I'm not mad about this at all. So I texted other people about this. 4 of them texted me, yeah, man, I like the concept here, but I don't really get this. And this is more your world is like being, they're like looked at all the names. They're like, I don't know half of the reasons why these guys are dumb. So this seems like it's all you. I'm like, fuck. So it's a real hard look in the mirror for me, honestly. Because I'm doing this exercise because I was like, damn, am I too in the weeds with this? Do I know too much? I don't think that I do. But considering nobody either would help me or wanted to help me, I guess this is where we are, right? So I made a decision. I said, fuck it. I'll do it myself. Give me the ball. And what I will instead do is consult the one brain trust who I know will help me out and who will support me in this endeavor. I thought it was my friends, by the way. I guess it's not. I'm not mad. This sounds like a guy who's mad. I'm not mad. I'm going to ask you, Coping Hour constituents, what the fuck is it called? This coping tower, a pyramid of NBA dumb, is not complete. This is, in a lot of ways, the first draft that I would love some feedback on. Some of these names, they have to stay on there, but you'll see as we go along, we could maybe swap this person for this person. Please, I am looking for feedback, not on the names of the tiers. That was one mistake that Rudy made. But instead, the players, the entities that are inside of it. Please, let me know. copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. I think that's everything, all the foreplay that we needed to do up top. If there's anything else, I'll derail myself and we'll get right into it. So, okay, let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. The Coping Hour presents The Coping Tower, an NBA pyramid of dumb. First things first, let's go over the actual tiers that are in the pyramid. So the first one at the very bottom is harmless dumb. These are just dumb guys that, man, they're not hurting anybody. They're not doing anything wrong. But for better or worse, they're just dumb guys. All right? It's probably the best case scenario if you are going to be on this pyramid that you're at the bottom of it, right? Such is life. And then right above that, we have internet dumb. These are people that have a little bit of reach. They have power. They have influence. And a lot of the shit that they say is, consequential or not, dumb. All right? Then right above that, criminally dumb. This is where we start to figure out who we need to keep an eye on. And that is until you get to the tier right above that, which is where we have federal watch list dumb. That one's self-explanatory. And then at the very top, there will be one person in this tier, always at the very top of the Coping Tower, an NBA pyramid of dumb. We have radioactive dumb. This is, you don't want to be here. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Radioactive dumb. One person will hold the belt at all times. All right, folks. What do you say we get into this? Starting off at the bottom, harmless dumb. The first player that we're going to put in here is Tari Eason. I am still rubbed the wrong way by the whole Warriors come out to play thing. I think it was corny. Even if it was a guy, first of all, you're going to be like, oh, of course, Nick put a Houston Rocket on here. If this was a Piston and they pulled that shit, I would have put this on here. Because it's one thing to do it to, if they did it to, I don't know, any other team in the West, I would be like, okay. But when you do it to Steph Curry, I'm like, huh? And then the game that he wasn't even playing in, when Houston's season is on the line, he's sitting on the bench wearing a Warriors come out to play shirt, and then the Warriors smack the shit out of them, effectively ending Houston's season, by the way. It eliminated them from play-in contention. Tari Eason nowhere to be found because he's fucking eating popcorn on the bench. Sick fit, though, brother. All right, so who's next? LaMelo Ball. LaMelo Ball. Okay, so He's technically like we need to keep an eye on him dumb, but it's harmless right now. Nick, why is he on the list? He's a pretty bad driver. You guys seen, there's not one, not two, not three, some real LeBron shit levels of videos out there of him just like blowing through red lights and like almost hitting pedestrians with his cars. I don't want to say, oh, one day that's going to catch up to him. You hope it doesn't, right? Do we think he's wearing his seatbelt? Like, I don't know. So right now it's harmless because it's funny, because the clips are funny. But he could very easily jump 2 tiers and get into criminally dumb if he goes, 10 miles an hour too fast in one of his AMGs. So we'll see. We're keeping an eye on it, though. LaMelo Ball, harmlessly dumb. Up next, Imani Bates. Cavs fans are like, the hell? That's our guy. Why is he dumb? Yeah, so this is where we start to get into the personal vendettas part of this. So let me explain to you what my beef is with Imani Bates. So I am a Michigan State fan, and not necessarily hometown kid. He was from Ypsilanti, but, for all intents and purposes, Michigan State basketball does run the state, especially recruiting-wise. So Imani Bates, for a while, was hard committed to play for Izzo at Michigan State. And it was like, he's the best player in the country. You're seeing him on like Slam Magazine and Sports Illustrated. They're like, dog, this is the next LeBron. I mean, was it a year after Zion that I don't remember when Imani's graduating class was for high school, but it was around that time where it's just, man, these recruits are just getting pumped and pumped and pumped. And we're seeing guys that we're like, who is this? Imani Bates, for a long time, since he was like 13, was like, this is going to be the dude. And for Michigan State to land that guy, right? It was, oh my God. Then Penny Hardaway gets a damn job coaching the Memphis Tigers. And Imani Bates, I think also one of Imani's boys maybe had committed there, and that was part of it. But Penny Hardaway could pay illegally, by the way, at the time, more money to Imani Bates than what Tom Izzo and the donors were willing to pay Imani Bates. At least that's what the scuttlebutt has been in some private channels. I don't know that for sure, though. But all I do know is that he decommitted from Michigan State and went to Memphis to play for Penny Hardaway. Not only did he do that, he stunk, he sucked, and he was bad. All three of them. So then, okay, maybe COVID happened or something. He eventually goes home, straight up goes home to Ypsilanti, and he's playing for Eastern Michigan. And he kind of put up numbers, but like not really. And then at the same time, you're like, you're in the MAC, though. You're just like all of the dudes. I don't know how to articulate this. It's the MAC. Who cares? Ends up like sliding to the second round. Pretty sure he's actually been pretty decent in the G League for the Cavs. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know how he's done in the league when he has gone to play, if he's gone to play. I have no idea. But I do know that he's played well in the G League. Some guys are just G League players, by the way. I don't hate Imani Bates, the player. I am very much rooting for Imani Bates, the player. But the man decommitted from Michigan State and looked bitch-made in Memphis, and then went to, and it was probably cool for him to go to Eastern. I'm sure that was cool to be back home. Kind of get some like Mateen Cleaves vibes, but it wasn't really the same thing. Oh, and then the other piece of this was that like it was because of his dad, I'm pretty sure, that all of this got fucked up. So he's dumb. He's harmlessly dumb because he listened too much to his father. All right, let's spend too much time on this one. Let's move on. AJ Griffin. Now we start to get in the weeds a little bit here. So hold on and stay with me. Why is AJ Griffin dumb? Okay, so I don't know if you saw this or heard about this, but AJ Griffin seriously considering retiring. I don't know if there's been reverse of course on this in the last few days, and maybe I just missed it. If I did miss something and he is going to keep playing basketball, he's immediately off this list, okay? But until then, until I see that come across my desk, AJ Griffin is dumb for considering walking away from the NBA, because he puts up a video on his YouTube channel, which, by the way, is like on the fucking dark web. Like nobody's subbed to it. Nobody watches it. It's weird. I'm like, he's an NBA player. And then you find out it's just because he's reading scripture, which is not a problem. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not calling him dumb because he's a man of faith. I'm not upset about that. He considers himself a man of faith. Oh, there's a drive into left field by Nicholas Castellanos. Okay, but in this video that he puts out, he proclaims that the rapture is upon us, that the rapture is near, and then cites the war in Israel as being a reason that maybe that's going to happen. Not the war in Ukraine, not all these like civil wars in the Middle East and in Africa, not those, but the war in Israel, which is not being perpetuated by Israel and happening in Gaza. It's happening in Israel, okay? The rapture is coming, and his higher purpose is not just basketball. If it was just the last part of that, I respect it. My problem with this, and the reason I think he's kind of dumb, is because he's falling into the trap that people have done for dozens, no, hundreds, no, thousands of years, which is misinterpreting religious texts. The whole point of the rapture is that nobody knows when it's going to happen. You have no idea. It could come today. It could come tomorrow. It could be in 15,000 years. You have no idea. And to profess, I think the rapture is upon us, you sound dumb to me. So, okay, AJ Griffin, harmlessly dumb for now. Moving on to Jaden Ivey. It's actually the same exact shit. I couldn't find the quote. I couldn't find it anywhere. It's been scrubbed from the internet. This was not me getting ballsack sportsed, by the way. That's not what this was. This happened. When the total eclipse happened earlier this year, Jaden Ivey was like, the rapture. It's the rapture. Did I misinterpret? Somebody, if you can find the quote, send it to me. And again, if I'm wrong about this, I will take it off. But I'm pretty sure that happened. All right? Jaden Ivey, harmlessly dumb, in the same way that AJ Griffin is. Who's next? Kyle Filipowski. Yeah. Fucking cannot stand that guy. A lot of you out there probably the same, even if you're a Jazz fan. Why is he dumb? You know, it's been a couple years since we had the Duke guy that everybody hated. Like, universally hated. And there's something to me that's endearing about that, because you are when you're the villain and you're just like, yeah, I'm the villain. I like being the villain. That is endearing to me, and it is nice to have a guy from Duke that you hated again. But that doesn't mean that you're not dumb, because you still like to trip dudes all the time, and it hasn't happened in the NBA yet. So he's not criminally dumb because he hasn't hurt anybody yet. But if that happens, hey, we're keeping an eye on you, Kyle. And then what's the other piece of this? Did we ever find out if the shit about him getting groomed was real, and that being like a reason that he was estranged from his entire family was because of this woman who was like preying on him for a couple of years? Is that true? And then he ended up in Utah with all the Mormons? Whoops. Uh-oh. Kyle Filipowski. Dumb guy. Okay, so who's next? We are back to the personal vendettas, ladies and gentlemen. Royce O'Neal. I'm not going to do this whole spiel again. I've done it way too many times. I just did it a week ago on the shoot-around, but if you're new around here, you never listened to an episode before, I will briefly give it to you. Royce O'Neal does not shoot the fucking ball. Ever since he got to Phoenix, he decided that he's not a real NBA player anymore. Some of you are going to scurry over to Basketball Reference. I don't think that's true, Nick. I think I remember. Bullshit. Mandela effect. It didn't happen. Facts don't care about your feelings. Fuck off. He does not want to shoot the ball. It is the most annoying thing in the world. We went from DeAndre Ayton being in Phoenix and him having like Wilt Chamberlain disease, where he just, I swear to God, that DeAndre Ayton, the time from when he catches the ball to when he shoots it is the fastest in NBA history. Not that he has a fast shot, it's that he's just like, and he just immediately gets it out of his hands. Okay? So we went from that to a guy as a role player who just won't shoot the ball at all. Unless your name is Grayson Allen, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, or Devin Booker, you do not get shots on this team. Until Royce O'Neal, he has to put up what will get him off of this list and get me to stop saying that Royce doesn't want to shoot the ball, because he doesn't. He needs to attempt 8 threes. Yeah, we're going deep. That's not going to happen either, by the way. He's not going to attempt 8 threes in a game. This upcoming season, at least. Okay, that's it for Harmlessly Dumb. Let's get a little dangerous. Let's get a little reckless, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move to Internet Dumb. Now, Internet Dumb, we explained it a little bit. These are just dudes, who have legitimate influence, and I'm tired of hearing from them. Up first, r/NBA Circle Jerk. By far the worst filth in the NBA media landscape. It's hardly NBA media, but I just mean in terms of all of the mediums that you can consume NBA content, because it just stopped being about hoops and like making fucked up jokes about basketball. It stopped being about that. Because like I can listen, when they were being like racist and posting pictures of like Kobe's autopsy and like Karl Malone shimmies, I was like, I at least in spirit get what you guys are trying at least. It may be fucked up, but at least you guys are trying. But now they just post like leaked nudes and softcore porn and pictures of Caitlin Clark being like, do you think she keeps it hairy? I'm like, you guys are fucking predators. Go goon somewhere else. You guys are actual predators. What the fuck is this? This isn't even about basketball anymore. What happened to the game I love? Fucking bums over there. Up next, we have Emmanuel Acho. I'm cheating a little bit here because he's not an exclusively NBA guy. He's an all-encompassing sports guy. But damn, brother. Waiting for a good take out of him. And one of those dudes that when everything is exclaimed and shouted, nothing can be emphasized. And he's always angry about something, but not in the Stephen A. Smith way where it's like compelling and he actually, the ebbs and flows of him getting angry and coming back down to earth. And like that's why Stephen A. Smith is who he is. The guy's a fucking king. The guy's a legend. Emmanuel Acho is a fraud. Up next, Colin Cowherd. I'm just tired of him. If I saw him, honest to God, if I'm walking down the street and I see Colin Cowherd, I'm shaking his hand. And I'm like, the industry that you're in is tough, and I think that you have carved out a really good niche for who you are, and I do think that you have a unique personality, and I do respect him as a broadcaster. But Jesus, man, when is he right about stuff anymore? The last time that he was right about something was like the hat backwards guy, the hat on backwards guy. I mean, technically it was about Baker, and that ended up being wrong, specifically about Baker because Baker rules. Like he's just awesome again, which is fun. Just annoying because the Cowherdisms are like, so here's why the New England Patriots offensive line is like Terminal 7 at Los Angeles International Airport. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And it's always forced, and I'm over it. I'm over the shtick. So who's up next? The only guy on this list everybody's going to agree on unanimously, Jason Whitlock. Need I say more? I won't. And then the last one, NBA YouTube. Whoa, why is NBA YouTube on here? I don't know. Maybe if they helped me out with this list, I wouldn't have to put them on here. Maybe if they weren't all fucking bad friends, I wouldn't have to put them on here. I'm fighting tooth and nail to get to Alex Hoops to fucking 100K subscribers. I'm pumping his shit constantly. It's crickets. It's radio silence. Alex, I thought we were like this, brother. Honest to God, I thought we were like this. I'm not hurt. I'm not even fucking mad about it. I'm not even thinking about this. But then outside of that, sneaky, I was watching a King of the Fourth Quarter video the other day. Kenny Beecham. Kenny, if you're out there, someone clip this and send this to Kenny, please. Kenny Beecham, a.k.a. King of the Fourth Quarter, makes the absolute best NBA content for eating food. I threw in like a Devour the other day. Maybe it was some like Stouffer's mac and cheese. I don't remember what it was. I'm eating it. I'm like, but before I eat it, I set it down and I want to find a YouTube video to watch, right? And I see Kenny is going to rebuild the Golden State Warriors. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, brother, in 2K25. I'm eating it. I'm watching him like figure out how to trade for LeBron. He's the best at it. He's been doing the same shit forever, but it's like just as compelling as it ever was. I don't know, honest to God, I don't know how he's as good at it as he is. But he has built an empire, and there is nobody like him. And the people who try to be like him fucking fail, or if they succeeded off of his back, their channels have since died. Kenny Beecham is the exception to this list. He's a king. Right now. Because apparently all of my friends, whatever, I'll move on. Up to the next tier. We have Criminally Dumb. These are the people that we're not so sure about. All right. Up first, Matt Ishbia, owner of the Phoenix Suns. The day will one day come that we take a victory lap on this podcast. It will happen one day. My problem with victory laps is I always hate when people are like, oh yeah, look, I predicted this thing. Look how right I was about that. Or like, oh yeah, I said this and then it ended up coming true. Cool. Huh? Because to me, it's like almost a sense of insecurity that like, no, you actually should watch this video because look, I was right about this thing. No, you should watch this video because like, look at my opinion. You're like, okay. But as somebody who has telegraphed that from day one, immediately, that Matt Ishbia is just Joseph Tsai 2.0. You get these like younger, sexy billionaires and they buy a new NBA franchise. And what's the first thing they want to do? They want to take an enormous swing. The irony here is that Joseph Tsai and Matt Ishbia did it with the same fucking guy, Kevin Durant. It's the same picture, .jpg. The boogeyman in Phoenix, in the greater Phoenix area, he's finally dead. Robert Sarver sells the team to Matt Ishbia, a Spartan dog, by the way. Wasn't he on the 2000 national championship team? I'm rooting for the guy. Sells mortgages? So I was going to call him a tech billionaire because Joseph Tsai is, right? But I think Ishbia sells mortgages. Rocket mortgage guy, right? I think that's his whole deal. That's where he got his money from. So he takes a big swing and he's like, oh, what else can I do? Oh, I'm going to go get Bradley Beal. And you just throw this fucking team together because you want to have a product that you're proud of and to show the fan base that you mean business and that you will spend money. Motherfucker, you're going to be spending a lot of money. You're going to be spending, and it's like, then you completely deplete your little pool of assets. All of your resources are out the window to get these three guys that like don't play well together. It's like not going to work. How long was it until we actually got to, because there was a period where they just wouldn't all three play at the same time. Now, even when they weren't playing together that much, on aggregate, it was more than we ever got to see out of James Harden, Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. But still, the principle still remains. So how does Matt Ishbia get out of this? The same damn way that Joseph Tsai got out of it. Honestly, thank God for Sean Marks, who was almost a dumb guy, but then what did he do? They dug themselves out of that hole because it was literally the same picture.jpg. And by flipping all of those guys back over to other teams, you send Kyrie to Dallas, you send Kevin Durant to Phoenix, and then was Harden, he went from Brooklyn to Philly, right? You basically just made up for all of the picks and assets that you had lost, and then I think maybe they even got a little bit extra in return. So they're dust in their hands. They got some of their pick swaps back from Houston, didn't they? All right, fine. We figured this out. We navigated our course back onto the road. Phoenix is cooked. There's nothing left. I can love Kevin Durant as much as anybody else. He's my guy, right? On and off the court, he's just my fucking guy. I love Devin Booker. He's going to be a Detroit Piston. I promise you he will be. Bradley Beal, over it, narratively, over the guy. Completely over the guy. Let this fail. Let this shit happen. Okay, so let's move on. Second in the criminally dumb tier. Talk about a layup. An actual criminal, it's Tom Gores, obviously. An actual real-life criminal, Tom Gores. Now, without even looking back at the articles as to what happened. So he owns a telecommunications business, and they were overcharging prison inmates on their phone calls to their family, friends, their loved ones. Like quadruple the rates of what they were supposed to be. And then like each minute it just went, like it would keep skyrocketing with like certain increments of minutes. And he finally gets caught doing it. This was a couple of years ago at this point. That's why I kind of don't remember. He finally gets caught doing it. I had no idea this was happening under my nose. I've been so busy with the Detroit Pistons. I did it. And then Platinum Equity, still don't fucking know what that is, but that bullshit is on our court. It's like Stadium. He just like made a thing and inflated the fuck out of it, and then was like, this is what I do. Fucking hate that guy. Yeah, I don't. And then I mentioned this one time on the Bunny Cardigan show, and James was like, "Oh, well, he didn't know about it." The fuck, brother? What? James, I get why he did it. I know. Listen, I've said it once. I know who listened to the show. I get that he was just covering his bases and that he had relationships that he needed to protect. But brother, you knew what it was. The fuck? Anyways. Last up in the criminally dumb tier, Jimmy Butler. Whoa. Actual criminal, by the way. You're going to think, oh, here comes the vendetta stuff again. No, real life criminal. Like should be in jail for the rest of his life. Why? He's a crypto scammer. Just got fined, what, $300,000 or $400,000 for, I don't know, pumping a shit coin? Criminal. One of you guys, how does Jimmy Butler get out of this? I haven't been very consistent about like, how does this person get out of this tier? Because some of them are just dumb and they're in purgatory. They're there forever. Jimmy Butler, can I throw you guys a curveball just so I'm being fair for once about this guy? Jimmy Butler can get out of this. He can. Because of something that one of you guys emailed in. Unfortunately, I will not be reading the entire email right now because it will derail my train of thought and I'm kind of on a roll right now. One of you guys was like, I had a dream that Jimmy got traded to the Kings. And when I woke up, I thought it was real and blah, 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 blah. The second I read Jimmy Butler to the Kings, I had a eureka moment. The gears started to spin. The cobwebs on I like Jimmy Butler, blowing them off. Oh my God, they're starting to dissipate. Jimmy Butler on the Kings, I will reverse course. I will forget everything that I ever said about him. I'm serious. Hold me to this. I will buy a jersey if Jimmy Butler is a Sacramento King. Aesthetically, oh my God, that's so good. That's so good. And then also, sneaky, Kings fans, help me out here. Are we sure you guys have like not to sound like Andrew Tate, but like an alpha dog? Is it De'Aaron Fox? Is it? Love him as a guy. Love him as a player. But he seems more like a dude would be like, the reason I like him and Sabonis is because they're both like B players. They're both like the number 2 option. You know what I mean? But together they make like a really fun number 1 option because they just get to set a bunch of like high screens and they just like pinball off of DeMontis Sabonis, like him and like Keegan Murray and like Malik Monk and shit like that. Like it's fun, but like who's the guy? You know, is it DeMar DeRozan? No, all of them are just kind of like the second or third guy in like the, you know what I mean, in like and like the big dog chain. So you throw in a Jimmy Butler, I don't give a damn how old he is. That guy's the quote-unquote alpha immediately of that team. I would love that. Jimmy Butler will be off of this list, and I will own his jersey if he ever becomes a Sacramento King. We got to move up, folks. It's happening. We're up to the federal watch list dumb tier. Let's start with Jerry Reinsdorf. Is there a worse owner? Like in terms of, I don't know, I'm sure if I went down the list, I could be like Tom Gores is an actual criminal, right? So like he's pretty bad. I'm just talking about in terms of like negligence to their actual franchise. There is not one, because brother, the Bulls haven't been relevant in 13 years? If we're like 13 years. And even when they were like, they had Derrick Rose and they had Joakim Noah and like Carlos Boozer and Kirk Heinrich and like whatever the fuck, you know, Mike Dunleavy. Like it was cool. They were really fun to watch. But like they didn't make that much noise. They were good, but they, you know. And then it all went south. Derrick Rose, we know what happened. And then before that, like they just haven't really had that many moments since the mid 90s. And then on the flip side of it, and this does matter here, just to further my point, he also owns the Chicago White Sox. A lot of you out there who listen to this show aren't baseball fans. The Chicago White Sox, by every conceivable metric, by every stretch of the imagination, are the worst team to ever play a full regular season of Major League Baseball. They're bad. It was like, I was at my brother's house like 2 weeks ago, and he's watching the Tigers. They were playing the Red Sox. I'm looking at the bottom line. I'm looking at the ticker, and I see that, you know, the White Sox are playing later tonight. I see like, we're in September, and I see like 38 wins. Rubbing my eyes like a damn Looney Tunes character. Huh? What? They're bad. And we live right next to the stadium. They blow off fireworks constantly. I'm like, they're not winning fucking games. Why are they blowing off so many fireworks? My brother was like, they probably just bought them all at the beginning of the season, and it's the end of the year, and they just haven't won any games. Like, we spent the money. We just got to send these off. So they suck. He refuses to give money to his organizations to actually field competitive teams. This is not a new issue. This is not a new problem. Because even when you go back to when they had, by the approximation of many of you, the greatest basketball player who ever lived, how many times was he apprehensive about paying that guy? Or Scottie Pippen, or Dennis Rodman, or fucking Phil Jackson? Anybody. This is not a new problem. Jerry Reinsdorf stinks. We need to keep an eye on this guy. But I don't know if we need to keep an eye on Jerry Reinsdorf more than this next guy. The moment you've all been waiting for. The man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. It's Jaylen Brown. Not a conspiracy theorist, by the way, but has been a vice president since he was 21 years old. We tried to get him on this list as a consultant. You know, we were like, hey, man, you could throw this on your resume. We need a VP of content here at the Coping Hour. We need help on this list. He did not return my calls. If you've been following the show, again, the reason that we wanted to start the Coping Tower, an NBA pyramid of dumb, was because of a guy like Jaylen Brown. Oh, the Mayans, they invented basketball, and Dr. James Naismith, he culture vultured that shit. Even if that's true, do you guys wonder if Naismith would have even have had access to that information? Jalen, you live in the 21st century. Like 100 and some odd years ago, when basketball was invented by Dr. James Naismith, I don't know if he was like looking through textbooks, but has anybody... He like invents a sport. Have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Has anybody invented this shit before? Also, it was the Mayans. It was fucking 1 million years ago. You're like, huh? Who cares? The same guy, by the way, and the Coping Hour constituent actually sent this in. I didn't even see this. Got his Twitter hacked recently. And whoever it was mostly harmless. Like, it wasn't even anything that crazy. We've seen some NBA players get hacked that it's bad. Like, remember when Giannis got hacked a few years ago? It was funny, but it was fucked up, and it was not good. It was so crazy, though. Maybe this is the part that's, do I want to go? I don't know if this mental exercise is worth it. They were so bad that it was immediately obvious that he was hacked, you know? Because if you're going to get into one of those accounts, yeah, it's the funniest thing to do is just say the craziest thing that comes to mind right now. But it's like, is it better if you almost try to make it seem real, but still fucking crazy? You know what I mean? So that people are kind of, Nick, why does that make him dumb that he got hacked? Don't you think a guy who was smart would set up two-factor authentication? That's what I would do. That's what I do. I thought I was dumb, but I guess not. Now, I know what you're thinking, Nick. Clearly, you've never heard him talk about social issues. I have, and I give him a lot of credit for that. Because when Jaylen Brown is talking about his experiences, right? Or like what it means, you know, the baggage and the trauma of that comes with like being a black man, a successful black man. Yeah, man, I'm all ears. Like, hey, these are perspectives and experiences that are completely foreign to me and that I will otherwise never experience. Like, let's talk about that shit. Anything, let's listen. Let's listen to Jaylen Brown. But everything else, I'm fucking, I fucking can't hear you. Dumb. Was it Pharrell recently that was like, I don't think that, oh my God. And then we didn't even talk about the fact that Jaylen also followed on Twitter like a month ago at this point, like Ryan Garcia and Andrew Tate. Was it Charlie Kirk? There's no way he followed Charlie Kirk. That guy would be toast I don't remember who else it was, but it was definitely those two dudes. And so you're just like, this guy is really close to questioning how effective these vaccines are. Or blaming something on, I don't think he would blame immigrants, first off. I don't think he would be like, hey, I think actually they are eating people's pets and people's cats and people's dogs. I think maybe I don't think he would do that. He's going to say something wild. I promise he will. But okay, that's it. That's it for federal watch list dumb. Now we go to the top. The cream of the crop. Unintentional rhyme. I do that from time to time. Radioactive dumb. I don't know if this is going to be a shock to you. Maybe come out of left field a little bit. It's Gilbert Arenas. You know, we talk about the guys in the internet dumb tier and like, man, when was the last time you heard a good take out of them? I'm scratching my head with Gilbert Arenas. I don't know. I have no idea when the last time he gave a good take was. Every time, I'm like against my will on Reddit or YouTube Shorts seeing clips of this fucking guy. And it's not even like, well, Nick, it's your algorithm, so that's just what, YouTube and that's just what they think you want to see. I downvoted and immediately scroll every single. I don't want to hear what this guy has to say, ever. Did he really say this, or was this just a bit that we did on the show where we were like, when the NBA has an expansion and they add Seattle and they add Vegas, Gilbert Arenas will go on his podcast and be like, Adam Silver creating black jobs for America. I think that was just a bit that way. I think it was an emailer sent that in and then we just kind of ran with it. Yeah, keep an eye on him. It seems like something that he would say. It'll be funny when he says it. We'll denounce it, but it'll be funny when he says it, right? Expansion, by the way. Let's get to that in just a second. Gilbert Arenas also almost killed in the Wizards locker room by Javaris Crinton. That's dumb. Big time dumb energy from Gilbert Arenas there. It's kind of self-explanatory. If you've heard him talk, he's just a dumb guy. Also just one of those haters that you just don't really want to. It's just never something nice about a player. He's always like, Ben Simmons should kill himself. Like, oh, you should have stayed sad. Or like, Rudy Gobert should have died when he touched all those microphones. I wish he got super coronavirus and he died. And you're like, okay, Gilbert Arenas. Oh, you play. Here's what I will give him, though. Here's what I will give him. Like 8 to 10 years ago, well, yeah, sure. That's the time frame. When NBA player Snapchat stories was like where you went for stuff, like that's where it was happening. That's where all the funny stuff was. He one time posted on his story him like hopping Nick Young's fence, breaking into his house, and then like bullying Swaggy's kid. And like making him cry. He was like 5 years old. It was one of the funniest at the time. It probably still is if I went back and looked at it. It was one of the funniest videos that I had seen. Period. So at the time, I liked him then. It's like a short bursts guy, right? But once you put that guy in a microphone and he's doing a show, I don't know, what does he do once a week, twice a week? I have no idea. I want to hear from Jeff Teague. That's it. I want to hear from Jeff Teague. If there was a tier on this coping tower, a pyramid of NBA dumb called reverse dumb, Jeff Teague would be in there. And his boys that he does the podcast with. That trio is exceptional. The interviews that they do are great. I love those guys because it's the contrast. It's the absolute contrast of the Paul George podcast where PG also has his two boys, but they're fucking annoying. They're fucking annoying. People are like, oh, Paul George, he does such great interviews. I wouldn't know. I don't know because I don't watch because his boys are annoying. They like live in his back house. But Jeff Teague chopping it up with his guys, like they're funny. They're funny B and C mics. They're great. I got no notes for them. I love the Club 520 podcast. So that's it, folks. That's it. That's the Coping Tower, an NBA pyramid of dumb. Please let me know who needs to get, don't tell me who needs to get swapped out. Just tell me who you think should be on the list, and then I will figure out who needs to get swapped out. Because I'm forgetting some. I will say the number of players that you see in each tier, I would like to keep that the same. So like I said, only one player in radioactive. I'd prefer only 2 in federal watch list and so on and so forth. It's like the bottom 2 tiers that we can really add some names if we have to. So let me know, folks. Let me know down in the comments on YouTube, over on Spotify, copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description, wherever it is that you listen to this program. So let's pivot. Let's do some emails. I just gave you guys the actual email to the show. Let's fire through some quick ones here. This one comes into us from Sam. Subject line: what's the deal with passing? Hey, Nick. After watching and paying attention to the NFL the last 2 weeks, I'm sorry, Sam, welcome to the show. It seems that Derek Carr, Sam Darnold, and Baker Mayfield are the league leaders in touchdowns. What would a guy like this, leading the league in touchdowns or yards, and also leading their team to a playoff berth, mean for what we see as a starting level or an elite level quarterback? Why pay these guys that are superstars upwards of $45 to $55 million a year when Darnold is on a $10 million contract and seemingly clicking with his offense more than these superstars? If this keeps up and one of these non-superstar quarterbacks ends up having a superstar-like season, are teams going to have to change how they think about paying their starting QBs? Imagine a world where Sam Darnold wins MVP. That's a world I want to live in. You're fucking alone there, brother. Back to the email. Also, I noticed there was... Oh, yeah, thank you for this. Yeah, we'll talk about all this. My hot take is that Brock Bowers will be in the top 5 tight end conversations by the end of the season, helping the Raiders clinch a wild card spot. Yeah, as long as Max Crosby goes back to being like real Max Crosby. Gardner Minshew has like another renaissance season where he's just awesome for like no reason. He just rules. Like total Mike Leach energy. Rest in peace, King. And then, yeah, I mean, if a guy like Brock Bowers, top 5, I don't know. Sam Laporta did it last year. There was a damn argument to be made that he was the best tight end in football last year. Brock Bowers and Ladd McConkey at Georgia last year. Where's Ladd? Is he with the Chargers now? Both of them I'm keeping an eye on. They're nasty. But Brock Bowers is actually the reason that I don't like watching Georgia this year, because he's not there. And he was such an easy safety valve. That guy was a free 7 to 12 yards every time he caught the ball. I don't hate that take. I don't have any, I'll just let you have it. I like it. So let's get to the actual email here. There is a growing issue in the NFL where the preseason is becoming less and less valuable. We thought we were there like a decade and a half ago. Like, oh man, the preseason just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all because the teams don't play their starters at all. One of the games, maybe they'll get a full half, but like the other 2, they're wearing street clothes for like the entire game. So it almost turns into the first few weeks of the regular season kind of being those tune-up games. This last Sunday, go look at the scores. Unplug the NFL and plug it back in. What the fuck happened? I'm not even talking about the Lions losing because, honestly, we deserve to lose that game. I give Dan a lot of credit for taking the blame for it. Jared had another one of those games where he was just fucking seeing ghosts. And once he has one of those games and you can start to see it happening, he just doesn't recover from it. We outgained them in every facet. We had like 8 red zone trips and got like 6 points off of it. The fuck? Like we had it. And Baker Mayfield was Baker Mayfield. We deserved to lose that game. I'm not even just talking about that. Around the league, the scores were just bizarre. Malik Willis threw a touchdown pass. The Packers won a game with Malik Willis starting at quarterback. They were weird, right? Sam Darnold is throwing like a 95-yard touchdown pass to Justin Jefferson, who ended up getting hurt, unfortunately. Fantasy owner right here. I don't know, man. It's just the sort of getting into the swing of the NFL season, Even Patrick Mahomes last year, didn't have an awesome regular season. People were kind of like, oh, Kansas City, I don't know. All fucking year, especially after week 1 when they lost to Detroit, people were like, I don't know. And a lot of that was just because he didn't have receivers to throw to, and it was like, whatever. But then what happened? He still got them to the playoffs, and he showed us why he makes as much money as he does. The inverse of that would be like a Lamar Jackson type of character where you just get that guy in the playoffs, and his numbers are just bad. Like, he just changes how he plays the game. He slimmed down a little bit this year, so we'll see. I love Lamar. I want him to – I'm so happy he got paid. I was in the camp of, like, please pay this guy. The same way I was with Jaylen Brown, honestly. And what happened with Jaylen Brown? He went off and he won Eastern Conference MVP and he won Finals MVP. I'm just happy when these guys get paid, honestly, especially when it's ones that I'm a fan of. And I say that like it's profound. That sounded dumb. But what did Lamar do? He won MVP. And sure, he went out sad to the Kansas City Chiefs, but such is life. How many teams have been lying in the Chiefs' wake in the last couple of years while they've been on this run? A lot. There's not that much shame in it. So no, man. Yes, if a Sam Darnold, wins an MVP, if a Gardner Minshew wins an MVP, there are going to be some questions, but it's not going to change how we evaluate the position in like this really dramatic way, unless all of the guys who are making a bunch of money were healthy the entire season. And you know what I mean? The game is just played different now, especially with the way that defense is aligned. Was it Mel Kiper who was like, we need to ban 2 high safeties on defense in the NFL? Was it Kiper that said that? Sneaky, I wanted to put Mel Kiper in the media dumb, the internet dumb tier, but he's not. He is just only an NFL guy because that guy's not fucking real. I don't know. That guy's no credentials. He's wild. Really, really good TV personality, but he's just dumb. I think in the first 2 weeks of this season, is it completion percentage, I think, is just in the gutter completely. The same way it was last year. And then the years, like it's just only gone down. No, I don't think this is going to be that big of a deal at all moving forward. But the way that you framed it did make me have to think about it. So, okay, so let's move on to a different email. Which one do I want to do here? Hey, we'll do this. This one comes into us from Hayden. Hayden, welcome to the show. Subject line, Al Michaels. Still doing some NFL stuff here, folks. Hey, Nick, I don't know if, by the way, this was from last week's Thursday night game. I just didn't get a chance to read this. Hey, Nick, I don't know if I'm just now noticing this because of how you talk about commentators on the show, but does it seem like Al Michaels has lost his fastball as an announcer? The Miami-Buffalo game last night was incredibly hard to listen to, and Al felt uninterested and just checked out of the game the whole time. By the way, Monday's episode was, thank you for this, brother. So hey, you're listening to this on Friday. I'm taping this before the Thursday night game. What is it? The Patriots and the Jets? The fuck is that doing being a Thursday night game? Literally, who cares? Respectfully. Like, I'm going to watch for Aaron Rodgers because he's the GOAT, but he's not the GOAT, but I like him, right? That's the reason. Ever since Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit took over these mics for Amazon, they got hired for Thursday Night Football, the games have been horrible. The game that you're talking about wasn't a good game for like the whole time, by the way. Tua turned the ball over through 2 picks in the first quarter. It was wraps like immediately. It was not a good game. That's been the constant. We haven't had a good Thursday night game, like a really, like you're just glued to your seat watching this Thursday night game since Amazon took it over. And this was a problem last year. Kirk would just like pivot and just start like talking about college football because honestly, that's just what he cares more about. The guy's getting paid like $10 million a season by Amazon. Like, I don't think they care that the games are bad, but when you're in the second, third quarter and you're already going to your blowout material talking about Josh Allen actually won an award for being a farmer. Wow. Yeah, man, they're not going to be interested because you, the fan, aren't that interested either. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's necessarily an indictment on Al's ability anymore. I don't think he's lost his fastball. Give the guy a fucking game to call, Maybe, hey, how did the Jets-Pats game go? Was that an awesome game? Was that a real, this is not background noise for me. I'm sitting here. I'm locked into this game. If that happens, I promise he's going to give you a good call. I promise. Because he just doesn't get big games anymore. Because he's been shoehorned into this, it's not a very diverse role anymore. He just does one thing, and that's kind of it. It sucks for him. I'm sure there's maybe it's good for him because, no, that was what I was going to say. It didn't make any damn sense. No, that's it. I think that's literally the only reason. Good question, though. Now, this next email, I don't know. Maddie said not to read it, but I haven't stopped thinking about it. And she told me not to read it because she's like, you're going to be an asshole to this guy. I'm not. Dominic, this is for you, brother, okay? Subject line. J.D. Vance Conspiracy Theory. Please read. I think this is peak. That got my attention, right? Dominic, welcome to the show. Actual conspiracy theory / 10% joking. JD Vance is either secretly on his own or part of a way bigger potential Republican anti-Trump group plotting against Trump, and he's doing it in two ways. He has been anti-Trump in the past, and it was brought into question when he was named the VP candidate. I believe Vance may be throwing Trump's image and campaign down the drain or get rid of Trump completely because it's what Trump did to the Republican Party, and might potentially, alongside many Republicans, if Trump either loses the election or his life, move on, distance themselves, and say, whoa, guys, we were just kidding, and move on, wiping their orange-stained hands clean. And then he gives the two reasons here why he thinks that this conspiracy is real. Number one, Vance is saying wild shit, trying to derail Trump's campaign. He lets Trump do the damage to his own image and does no damage control whatsoever or admitting that he is wrong. He has even admitted to lying to create fear. However, he also gets the freedom to spew nonsense because Trump is the bigger target while also creating / feeding the mob of people who will grasp onto anything they think opposes the woke movement, blah, blah, blah. He would also obviously greatly benefit from potentially sneaking out victory in November in spite of him trying to do as much as he can to ruin their chances. Then, being the second most powerful person in the world would be terrifying and potentially creating a fascist state of American government. And folks, get your fucking seatbelts on, because this is where the email really starts, if you ask me. He may be plotting the assassination attempts on Trump because he will take Trump's place if one is successful, because he'll be able to convince enough people that it's the other side and it's conspiracy, leading to undecided voters and maybe even some Democrats to Vance and Lord knows who, further confirming the idea that maybe Vance thinks they can sneak it out despite the chaos. There might also be a world where Trump wins the presidency and sometime after he passes, whether of old age or the inside job, Vance would take over like it's happened in the past. In the most recent attempt on Trump's life, it was a, quote, last-minute decision, unquote, on where to go golfing. I guess? Would Vance know where Trump would be golfing? Also, from what I understand about the attempt that happened in Pennsylvania, the shooter was a registered Republican who maybe didn't like Trump. Doesn't that sound familiar? Also, do you think this bit is good enough for me to write stuff or do constant? I'm not reading this part. You don't want me to read this part on the show. Brother, if you're confident in this, full send it, right? But hold on before you do that. Let's talk about it, all right? At the end here, you did say, I think for legal reasons, I have to state that this is a conspiracy theory and I'm not alleging or insinuating anything. God damn it, Dominic, that's where you lose me. If you're going to say it with your fucking chest, all right? If you're going to do the conspiracy, do the conspiracy. You're not going to get a knock on your door for this. Here's my thing. Lots to unpack here. Does Trump need a JD Vance caricature to destroy his image? Does he need to do that? Because Trump is going to lash on to like whatever he sees on TV. Like that's what he's already said. It doesn't. He could have picked a sack of potatoes to be his vice president, and people will be like, The other part of this here, he may be plotting the assassination attempts. Do you think that if the breadcrumbs are that obvious, that we would be able to pick up on it like that? Because I believe that JD Vance is a dumb guy, and I think you're giving him too much credit here. I think he's a dumb guy. What we've learned about the people who are in like Trump's circle in his cabinet is they're all pariahs. They're all political outcasts, you know, and their last ditch effort to cling to that, their seat at the table, that power, is to kiss the ring because they know what the Trump bump does for them. For better or for worse, it doesn't matter. If you're singing his praises and he's saying good shit in return about you, the benefits of that outweigh being like, no, actually, I don't like Trump anymore. Look at a guy like JD Vance, by the way, who was doing the exact same thing. He was calling Trump Hitler 8 years ago. You're right about that. But what is he doing now? He wants his seat at the table, and he knows that this is how he gets it, right? Let's give some other pushback. The most recent attempt on Trump's life was a last-minute decision on where to go golfing. Why would Vance know where Trump would be golfing? Probably because it was at his own fucking golf course. Probably that. Probably that, and that's like where Trump golfs. It's like where he hangs out most of the time is Florida and on his own golf course, you know? And we found out that the guy had been camped out at that spot that they found the rifle. He had scoped it out like 12 hours prior, so he had been there for a while. And then what happened in Pennsylvania? So also from what I understand about the attempt that happened in Pennsylvania, the shooter was a registered Republican who maybe didn't like Trump. Don't get tricked, brother. Him being a registered Republican had nothing to do with fucking anything. All right? This is what they try to do. They're going to tell you it's Republicans. They're going to tell you it's Democrats. They're going to tell you it's black people. They're going to tell you it's immigrants. It's none of them. It is never any of them. It is about power. It is about action. It is about wealth. That is what this is about. All right? Him being I'm going to say the same goddamn thing about what just happened in Florida as I did about what happened in Pennsylvania. It is so easy for us to immediately fall into conspiracy mode with this shit. But you just have to boil it down to what it actually is. There was an attempt, one that was like a real threat on Trump's life, and one that like, nah, that's bullshit. That wasn't a real attempt. The one that just happened in Florida. But for all intents and purposes, they both still count as assassination attempts. I guess, the first one in Pennsylvania absolutely does. But the second one, it's semantics. Do you find it to be that inconceivable that somebody wanted to kill him? Right? Do you think it's that crazy? Motherfuckers talk about like hanging Mike Pence on January 6th. That was like the whole deal. People talk about killing Joe Biden. I'm not doing this, government, by the way. See, this is where you need to sort of you need to sort of pull back a little bit instead of just, but it's not that crazy. And what we learned about the kid in Pennsylvania, again, this is still conjecture. I don't know if we know this for sure, was that he was like mad about Trump being a pedophile, an alleged pedophile on the Epstein list. And he was like ridding the world. He was cleansing the world of pedophiles. Him being a Republican didn't have anything to do with anything. The guy that just attempted to kill him in Florida, we learned that he was like a Ukraine nut. Like he loved Ukraine. And he was one of those people that as soon as Russia officially invaded in the winter of spring-ish of 2022, that he was one of those people who was going to major networks and being like, oh, we need to, funding and support for Ukraine, and they need arms, and they need our support, they need our help. But in that way that was like really aggressive and really over the top, which is, there's nothing technically wrong with that. But the dude was definitely a little bit wild, as evidenced by his Twitter account, which has since been deleted, where he was like an Elon reply guy being like, Elon, hey, will you give me a free rocket so that we can send it over to Vladimir Putin? I'm sure that guy probably watched the debate and listened to Donald Trump be like, we would end the war tomorrow and Ukraine doesn't get another dime. They don't get another Abrams tank. They don't get another F-15. They don't get any of this shit anymore. They don't get another drone. None of it. And he was probably like, we need somebody who will. This guy cannot be president because he will destroy the economic integrity of the Eastern Hemisphere, of the entire world. Because if Ukraine falls, who knows who could be next, right? That's what this guy is thinking. At least that's the information that we have so far. I'm going to cut it there. All right? Dominic, I like where your head is at. The gears are spinning. Let's think a little bit smarter, though. Don't think so hard about it. Sometimes the truth is, even if something was really going on, you think I don't need to keep talking about this anymore. Thanks for the email, Dominic. Now, for this last email, I wanted to save this for the end because I didn't get a chance to read this last week. But this one comes into us from Tom. Tom is the Wizards fan who is always on vacation with his girlfriend and is always in the bathroom. And he's always got some weird shit to say. Honest to God, my favorite character at the Coping Hour. He's my favorite recurring character. My other favorite, I'm not gonna power rank all my favorite characters, but I do have them. Tom is number one. Tom sent in, Tom, welcome back to the show. Subject line, a vulnerable email. And I could have just sent you an email, brother. Honestly, maybe I should just do that. You sent it in. Let's do it. I just want to give him some encouragement because he's like the guy here, Hey, Nick, this is a special one. I am on the toilet. I am at home, New Hampshire. I am at home, New Hampshire. Oh, you live in New Hampshire. Cool. I just wanted to get this off my chest. It's been in my head, and I know that this is a thing that needs to be said to somebody. I am 23. I'm in my second year of law school. Tom, will you go back to the beginning? And when I was talking about shams and market manipulation, will you tell me what the gambling manipulation? Will you give me that? Is that your field of expertise? Anyways, back to the email. I had a summer of travel, though I do travel anyways, a lot, I suppose. I'm in a relationship with a girl who I think is my wife. Think, meaning I know I care about her deeply enough. There is just always that possibility in my head that she wouldn't stick around. I come from a stable home. Both parents have been together for years. I grew up capital C Catholic. I've made peace and believe that I want to get married once, work as long as possible, and finish my life in a world that probably looks a lot different than it does right now. I'm in my second year of law school. I'm confident about this degree, but it's a tough economy, and I just don't know if I'll make it. By the way, this is not, just to break the email, not another workforce email. Don't worry. We are taking there's a hiatus on workforce emails. Sorry, Tom. Back to the email. I've been an above average, but not exceptionally by any means, but not an exceptional student by any means. I'm moving back out to the West Coast to be with my girlfriend at some point. And it's a big change, but we've talked about a plan, and I'm comfortable with it as much as I can be. I'm the co-captain of the basketball team, and we've gotten a lot of new interest in the team from students. It's been fun, but I'm also a treasurer for another group, and all the responsibility along with the natural anxiety of law school is just a lot. And I shut down recently with my friends and my social media. I just want to reiterate, well, thank you for all of this, Tom. So there's not like a question. You're not really looking for anything here. I just wanted to give you some support here as best as I could. I'm happy you're moving, right? You said you're moving out to the West Coast. That's good. Because in my life, all of the times that my stress felt like it was like boiling up, it just happened that I made a huge life change and like a major change of scenery, whether it was moving here to Chicago or it was moving out to California or moving back here to Chicago. You know, it always sort of gave me that reset. And even though there's the stress of moving, especially that long distance, like it, you know, as long as you're comfortable, you said, you know, you're as comfortable as you can be. As long as you're comfortable with, you know, being away from your family in that major way. I'm assuming they're also in New Hampshire, wherever they are, you know, because that part of it's hard when you don't really have a support system. Being in California was really hard for me because literally the closest family I had that I actually spoke to was in Michigan. They're 3 time zones away. You know what I mean? I'm on my own. I've never lived on my own before. And suddenly I'm doing it in like the entertainment hub of the world where like everything happens in America, in Los Angeles. And that was really hard for me. But you have a really strong support system in your girlfriend. And I know the whole, you know, I just don't want, you know, there's always the fear of, you know, her leaving me. There's no reason to be insecure about this, King. You guys are like traveling the world together. That's someone who, first of all, it would be really hard to leave a person like that. You know, you go through those experiences and it's such an intimate thing. You know, like going down to Puerto Rico for us is the furthest it's the only time we've ever been to another country, you know, the only time that we ever actually, I know it's the United States territory, but for all intents and purposes, the only time we've ever left the United States. And it was like we are doing this together thing, you know, and it just, the bond that it creates. And you guys have been everywhere, by the way. So I just don't want you to feel some type of way about that because you have her, you have people in your life, man, you're loved and you're doing the right thing. You're going to school, you're doing extracurricular shit. You're awesome, brother. You're awesome. And we're happy to have you as a integral part of this show. All right. So Tom, what do you say I tell everyone why there was no show on Monday? All right, Tom, we can do that. Yeah, man. So last Saturday, I was, you know, solo dadding like I normally do. It's just me and my son. His mom was at work. And he's in the middle of not only teething right now, but like major sleep regressions. And so I'm not sleeping. I got to be up all day with him because he doesn't stay asleep long enough when he does nap for me to even nap. Like it just doesn't work. And then when he's awake, it's constant attention. It's giving him little baby Orajel, little baby Tylenol, giving him as much as we can to remedy the pain that he's experiencing. And it's a lot. It's very stimulating and it's really hard to just fucking relax for a second, right? So I'm in the middle of dealing with that. I know I've like, you know, given Jacob a lot of shit today. So I'm not mad at him about this, but this was part of it, right? So he sends me a text and I'm fucking losing my mind with my son, just having a rough day. He's like, hey man, like, you know, just sent 3 videos over your way, you know, one going up Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's not normal. I appreciate when he does that. That's the way that I would prefer it, right? Give me some time to do it ahead of time rather than, hey, day of, I need this thing up. No, it's not a problem with that. But it was the fact that I knew with how my schedule was that I was going to have to do all 3 videos that day, right? So I was like, because I just wasn't going to have time otherwise. I was like, fuck. So that's going on. In the middle of all of that, right? Our dog had another seizure. It's the second one since May. And that was hard because the first time it happened, I was not cool, dude. Like he was our original kid, you know? He's 8 now. He's a long-haired mini dachshund. Like he's, you know, 8's, you know, the first one, I remember, you know, I called the emergency room. I'm like, do we need to take him in? And they're like, just monitor him. He's fine if it happens again, whatever. That was in May. Well, he just had another one. It's just really hard to witness him go through that. And I'm going to say this really quick. I know I've been kind of like sassy and rude in this episode. I'm really not trying to come off this way. I just know sometimes I say things and then you guys will send in emails being like, oh, I experienced this thing too. I don't want emails about empathizing with dogs having seizures because that's going to not help me. It's going to bum me the fuck out a lot. And I guess I should have given you guys a disclaimer because even me saying that, it's hypocritical, right? Because you might have heard that and been like, oh, well, now I'm sad. I do apologize. I won't go into any more details about it. But for those of you who have experienced it, you've certainly experienced it. Bolded, italicized, underlined, right? So I'm a wreck. I can't handle it in that moment. I call Maddie. I'm like, I tell him, I'm like, he's having a seizure right now. You need to come home. So she comes home and, you know, we just get through the rest of the day. My philosophy since my son has been born is get to tomorrow. Let's get to tomorrow. Make sure he's safe. Make sure he's happy. Make sure he's healthy. Let's get to tomorrow, right? And that's what we did. But in the middle of all of it, I just knew that this was going to carry over. This was going to be something that lasts for a few days, and I wasn't going to have it in me on Sunday. It was going to be one of those episodes where I just, not even in like the cathartic way where it's, you know, it's meaningful to you guys that I get some shit off my chest and I just, you know, it wasn't going to be that kind of episode. I was not okay, and I just needed to take some time, right? And that's why today's episode happened the way that it did, because I just wanted to make it up to you, right? Because even if I was valid in not doing the show, I was justified. It makes complete sense now, right? Like, yeah, you had some shit going on, right? And for those of you who were a little bit blindsided, I just remind you, check the Motown Noah YouTube channel, check the community tab. I will always put up a community post letting you guys know if there's not going to be an episode, which is where this part of the show comes in. Next week, Wednesday through Sunday, we will be in Michigan. The problem is going to be, so we'll have a Monday show. This upcoming Monday, there will be a normal show, like no issue. I mean, hey, if no bullshit happens, right? I'm hoping there's a Monday show. Here's the hoping, right? But there shouldn't be any scheduling conflicts there. A week from today, Friday, if I'm able to get something in the can pre-recorded as like maybe an evergreen episode or something, maybe do like a Pistons season preview. I don't know what it'll be. If I have the time to do that, I will get that to you guys. But if not, we'll just have to wait, and it'll be another week of just one episode. I'm going to do everything I can for you guys to make sure you have 2 episodes, because as much as I like to meme about, you know, wanting to exist in obscurity and have this podcast, it's not a podcast, by the way, it's just a show, just kind of be for like me. Like, it's just for me, and like, I'm so thankful that you listen to it, but I don't need it to blow up. That's like not why I'm here. Consistency still matters a lot, and I hate disrupting that. I think there's maybe been outside of paternity leave and the pregnancy, you know, him being delivered, that does not count. That's a real life event. There's maybe been like 3 episodes that we've missed in the last like 80 some odd, and I think about it, it bothers me when it happens, right? So I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that you guys get 2 episodes next week, and then after that. So next Saturday, I will be in East Lansing for the Michigan State-Ohio State game, prime time game. But we'll talk a little bit more about that on a different day. So, alrighty, folks. I hope you all have a good weekend. That's it. I guess I didn't have anything else after that. All right. Alrighty, folks, if you're listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're listening to this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe. Nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. And I will catch you guys in the next one.
Beautiful, beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control. Beautiful. Primary control.